1, 2, 3.
Go. Why Meet the Others podcast? What's this about?
Why are we doing this thing?
Why are we doing this dang thing?
Who the F?
Do we even know what we're doing?
Certainly not.
Oh,
We
no.
just hooked this thing up tonight. We figured out how to use the mics, and now we're recording 10 seconds afterwards. Gives me
Word up.
comfort. So,
I hear you.
yeah. So, anyways, Meet the Others. That's us.
Still waiting on this car to come and take me home. Things feel a little different now that we grown. Till I turn the ass, so they put my name in stone. Live how I wanna live, cause we die alone.
Hey.
Yo!
What's poppin', everybody?
What's going on?
Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to Meet the Others podcast. I'm Anissa B.
And I am Choir Boy Dank.
And this is our podcast. If you're new here, we kind of talk about almost every single topic.
We talk about a lot of stuff.
We talk about a lot of stuff, but one of the main things that we like to talk about a lot of times is music. This guy.
Music.
This is the music guy. Say hello, music guy.
Music things.
And gymming.
Gymming. Music. This is the gym lady.
I
right
am
here.
Gyms. So, yes.
No, music, fitness, life, moving,
Life.
doing the right thing.
Being entrepreneurs, getting hit with the beat your ass stick quite a bit. Just life,
The
man.
stick of life.
The stick of life. It hurts sometimes. So yeah, if you are interested, follow us. We are on, where are we?
We're on all the stuff. We're on the Spotify's. We're on the Apple Musics. We're on all those streaming platforms. Speaking of, that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Is that what we're going to talk about?
We're going to be talking about streaming platforms, streaming royalties,
Huh.
all of that.
Okay. So some
Stuff.
music stuff, huh?
Some music stuff.
Hmm.
And honestly, it affects podcasts and all that jazz
All right.
to some degree.
So
But primarily today, we're going to be talking about how it affects musicians.
oh, would that be you?
Yep, that would be me.
Not me.
You got a couple bars in there.
Skinny model bitches in the club. Oh.
In the see, this is why.
That's my lyrics.
I'm sorry, guys.
I came up with that.
I'm sorry.
I literally came up with that. I promise you.
She forgot her own lyrics, everybody.
Anyways.
Hey, it happens.
Right.
If you're a musician, you know,
Pretty
if you've
much.
grown in that space, you know it happens once or
Cheers to that.
twice. Yeah. So, anyways, today I wanted to talk about a new bill that they brought to the House of Representatives, a new congressional bill up into the government, led by a couple of people, one from New York and one from Detroit, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, one from the Bronx and one from
Boogie Down Bronx.
I'm thinking
Representing
Yeah.
Boogie Down Bronx.
a
Representing
rep of Detroit and a rep of Bronx,
the hard, heavy cities.
where hip hop came from.
Oh.
Originated way back when it came from the with the two turntables and the microphone, you know. So, anyways,
What is that reference to? If some of us, might not know it from, because I'm too young.
I don't know. There's there's a guy that did a meme about it, and I'm not super clear on it, but it was like way back when and it was kind of funny to me. And then, but yeah, it's obviously, the Boogie Down Bronx, where all the, that's obviously where hip hop, if you give two shits or whatever about hip hop, that's where it started. In the parks, in the Bronx, with the two turntables and the microphone,
Shoot.
the break dancing, the b-boying,
Take
the
that
graffiti
number 6,
writing.
yo.
Yep.
South Bronx.
So anyways, yeah. So there's a couple of representatives, names Rashida Tlaib, I think. If I'm destroying that pronunciation, I apologize, but it's Tlaib. And then Jamal Bowman introduced the Living Wage Musicians Act this past week or month, depending on when you're catching this podcast or whatever. And so this has created a partnership with the United Musicians and the Allied Workers Union about economic justice and fairness in streaming. Okay. So this is something for a long there's been like a long discussion about kind of how the streaming rate for songs has been not the most favorable for musicians. And this act is kind of aimed to straighten that out. Right. So I'm going to read for the release of this act. This is what it says. It would create a new streaming royalty with aim to compensate artists and musicians more fairly at a penny per stream when their music plays on streaming services. So right now, I don't know if you're aware of this, but you get less than like a third of a penny.
What the hell? Per
stream.
Shit.
For a song.
At this point, a penny is nothing, right?
Right. And that's if you own 100% of your song, which most musicians don't. Right. And most bandmates own even way less than that.
Yeah, it's being split.
So, so the report goes on to say that streaming has grown to represent 84% of the recorded music industry revenue, which is kind of crazy.
Right.
And Spotify actually owns 80% of that. So it's like Spotify is a big player in this situation.
Yes.
And this would go to kind of like even out those royalties to some degree. Yeah. So, and it goes on to say, to equal out what would be considered like a 15-hour job, $15 an hour job,
right?
You would have to reach 800,000 monthly streams.
Oh my God.
To just get like minimum wage kind of.
Right.
And that's if you own 100% of your music.
Right.
So that's just to give you a little bit of insight to where we're kind of at. And this act would go to, this act would go to kind of like counteract that. And the way that they're going to do that is they're going to add an additional revenue stream to these streaming so the streaming companies. So like if you're a paid user of Spotify, the cap would be like an additional 50% of that charge. So totaling to, I don't know, $4 to $10 extra a month that you would pay. And that would then create this fund that then would hopefully kind of even that out to equal out a penny for the streaming. And if your song gets over 1 million plays a month, you're opted out of that.
Oh, okay.
Because those people are already getting that money. Right.
They're getting that money.
Right.
So is it like, would you say it's like a not for the less fortunate?
Not less fortunate.
It's the ones that don't have enough plays and stuff is kind of like beneficial.
Yes, it's beneficial to the up and coming artists, the new guys, or the guys that are just kind of trying to bring up, I would say really like the working class musician.
Right.
Not the Drakes or the whatever, or the Beyoncés or the Biebers. That those guys, I mean, there's another thing, and I think that this is something that I wanted to bring up when it came to this side of the equation, is there's a lot of streaming royalties that go unaccounted for.
Right.
That are international royalties, people that don't necessarily have their business all the way worked out, don't completely know that the way that how all these streaming platforms pay out or have their publishing kind of worked out. those, funny enough, if you look at what those things are called, all those unclaimed royalties, those are called black box royalties, right? And those black box royalties get divvied up between the major labels to all of the biggest artists, which is crazy because they're already getting money off of that. So the unclaimed royalties, it's like, well, we don't know who else to give this to. So they divvy that up between the biggest artists. And in 2020,
why do the biggest artists need it?
Honestly, they don't, but that's just the way that the system has been set up. And so in 2021, just because this is the figure that I could find, in 2021, $424 million was in that black box fund.
Damn.
Right. So the guys that, and in my mind, that's kind of the middle class, the up and coming,
for sure,
and the people that, those guys, in my mind, that's their royalties.
Right.
And they're getting split up between the big guys anyway. So
that's not fair.
This would kind of, in my opinion, give a little bit more of a skew back into a normal living wage for, the day-to-day, the kind of middle class, if you will, recording artists, musicians, artists, and stuff like that. So for me, I'm a fan of this. I think it makes sense.
Why would you be a fan of it though?
Well, because I'm in there. I'm in the pot of those guys, right? Obviously I'm not a Bieber, and I'm not signed to a big label or any of those things. So this would directly,
he's an independent.
Yeah, independent artist. And this would go to kind of help people like me and my peer group of other artists, and it would go to legitimize that as a profession.
That's good then.
Because I think that there's so many people that you look at artists and that as a career that's so lofty,
right,
and something that's not a real option. And this would kind of legitimize that as a profession that has tiers of, there's a working class musician,
right,
and there's a way to support your family, rather than it just be like the Drakes and the Biebers running off with the bag. And honestly, even those guys, I feel like those guys kind of deserve the bag because they're creating a lot of revenue. They're busting their tail in so many ways. And I think that a lot of times the labels and the Spotifys of the world are really running off with the extra money.
Right.
And this would go kind of because this actually doesn't involve the labels or Spotify.
Oh, okay.
This goes around them and would go directly to the artist.
That's cool.
Which I think is a pretty cool way to kind of slice the pie.
Uh-huh.
Because I also did a little bit of other research on this.
Got the research going on.
Right. And let's see. So Spotify, where do I got it? Maybe I didn't even write it down.
It's my calculations.
Let me check these out.
Oh, shoot. I am not prepared.
The calculations seem to have...
Darn it. This is what happens.
No, but anyways, let me...
I'm going to figure this one out. Hold on 1 second.
Right. Okay, so here it is. So Spotify takes 30% off top of all royalties that are generated from Spotify.
Right.
And they're 80%, like I said before, 80% of the streaming revenue is Spotify. Some of the other kind of like titles or different platforms like that pay a little bit higher. Maybe YouTube Music plays a little bit higher, but they're all relatively similar.
Right.
But just as an example, Spotify generated $14 billion
Damn.
in 2023.
Lord.
With a B.
With the B.
With a B.
I would have.
That's a big bag. And then they spent another so, I don't know if any of you guys are accountants or whatever, but then they reinvested a large amount of that money back into their platform with ad dollars and salaries and things like that, to the tune of $9 billion.
Damn.
Which, I don't know. If you run a business, you realize that you're paying, you're taking care of your people, and that's good. But that still kind of, at the end of the day, they're running off of $4 billion profit in 1 year.
Damn.
And their kind of numbers have been rising 15 to 20% every single year, which is great for them as a business. And
we need to touch some of that money, Spotify.
Well, when it was brought to the attention of their CEO of, hey, what can musicians do to kind of, like, you pay so little to these musicians,
right?
How can they kind of make a living wage? His answer was they need to make more music.
Hey,
which is valid.
Yes.
But at the same time, I think that you're making all of the musicians be the workhorse so that you can run off with billions of dollars.
Right. Because you're still collecting
stream money off all of that stuff. So I think that, this would be I'm in favor of this, and I'm going to put into the description of this video and our podcast a form that you can sign up for to support the act, right?
Yes, let's do it, guys. Let's move some mountains.
So if you're an independent artist, I think that you should definitely sign that as support of it. And I think that just bringing awareness to it is huge.
Yes.
And that's why I decided to talk about it on this podcast. The thing I do get worried about, though, to some degree, is I know that the major labels probably aren't in super favor for this.
Oh, of course not.
Even though, in my opinion, it would help out them, because it would make it so that the artists on their label would be able to maneuver, have happier lives, pay their rents,
right,
and continue to make money and music for the label.
Yeah.
It would just give a little bit more, money in the system, and if you will. But the thing is they're not going to have direct control and be touching it. It won't go through the contracts that they sign.
Right.
And I think it's a little, to me, it gets a little nervous thinking that I know that there's a decent amount of lobbyists for all of those music companies that have people in Congress and people in the representatives and all of these people that would maybe line the pockets of Congress people to say, let's vote this bill down.
Right.
And that's what I get nervous about, that maybe this bill won't pass. And I think that...
So it's not fully passed yet.
It's not passed.
It's just in talk. It's something that it's in motion.
It's a bill.
It's a bill, and it may get passed and it may not get passed.
Yeah.
Sign the bill. Sign the bill, guys.
And, I think that, we gotta talk to, I don't know, we gotta talk to our people that represent us and say, this is something that we care about.
Right.
And this is something that affects our local communities, our local economies, our nationwide economies. And I think would be hugely beneficial in many ways.
Right. I think so too.
To the artist community, and then the bigger community at large, in my opinion.
Yes.
So as a music consumer, as someone that would be a creative and someone that makes art themselves, would you be down to pay that additional, third a month to know that your favorite artists or your independents are actually being able to support their family off of their music?
Oh yeah. I mean, it kind of goes as said, because I am a creator. So of course I would want any creators to get ahead, because it's not easy to create all the time. It's time consuming and all that stuff. So I would definitely be a part of supporting it 100%. Yeah.
The thing is I think that it's easy to be like, wow, then my Spotify thing is going to go up. I'm going to have to pay more and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I think that there's also a large amount of, creators that you get into this world that you think, well, I did it the hard way, and I've been doing this so long.
That's so hard.
I don't want other people to get it the easy way now.
I get that, you know, mindset. But we're living in 2024. It's like things are changing. Like
things are changing.
Things are always going to evolve. And, you know, it may seem easy to one person than the other. But you know what? At the end of the day, you don't know what that journey looks like. Like, you have been doing music for many, many, many years.
Right.
And to me and to so many people, you deserve to be on the radio.
Right.
Point blank, period. You know what I mean? So like,
well, in my opinion, I think that would help with the streaming or whatever. But I also think that it would help people fund doing tours themselves,
right?
Doing cool merch stuff themselves,
doing more videos, because it comes out to a lot of money.
All that stuff adds up.
We have done so many videos. We have done so many things independently, and that was our money, our funds, like
our money, our funds, our time,
like
learning how to do all of those things. Well, and I'm a very creative person and want to do a lot of stuff, like I would say hands-on, and want the control. And also that goes, like, it would be nice to pay video editors.
Right.
I would be able to say, this guy's dope. Yeah. I'm going to put money in his pocket because I have more of a budget. And I think that that's where it becomes very valuable.
It does. You start painting the world of creatives all together. Everyone gets a splash of color and more creative, and the more and more you do it and kind of help each other out, it's kind of, it all goes in a circle, you know, of creating and becoming successful creators.
Right. And you can grow your world. You can grow your little community, incubate them, and then also be able to reach out to more people. And I think that we need it. Oh,
for sure. I think so too.
Because I think for so long, there's just been people that, you know, like, oh, we live off the album.
Right.
Like in you know, the 90s, I guess, the early 2000s, you would pay $20 for a CD. And those days are done.
Done. Goodbye.
You know, no one's, I mean, unless you're a real fan of somebody.
Right.
There's the cost for entry is so much lower.
It is.
You know? So I don't know. I think it's valuable. And I'll tell you, I think that if we do something like this, you create a place where you can make more cool music.
That's true.
Do more cool things. Because I think that even in the 90s and 2000s, when people was paying $20 for an album, you get 1-2 cool songs, and then the rest would be kind of fluff. And it would be like, dang.
Yo, you know how many times I got albums from Virgin Records? Like, I would go to 42nd Street, get an album from Virgin Record. I would like literally, like, when I would see like the release date and stuff, I'd be like, oh my God, I can't wait to get it. Spend like $25 on, like, you know, the exclusive case, one side a different color than the inside. Her face is in there. Like, there would be like 3 different cases to the same
covers
exact,
or whatever.
Yeah, the covers to the same exact album. And I remember grabbing it up, and like TLC, I was like super stoked. And then like I got home, and of course I played them all.
Right.
But it was like maybe 3 or 4 songs that I was like in love with, and the rest I was like, nah, skip. And I did that. So I had a collection of CDs.
And I mean, speaking of TLC as a very specific result, that your money went not to TLC.
Right.
And they spent millions of dollars promoting, putting all that stuff out. The artists toiled over all of that stuff to then basically get a couple RAV4s.
Right.
And I think that something like this kind of redirects the focus and the energy back to the artist.
Yes, I agree.
And it's a cool way to do it because it's like an evolution
Yeah.
where that money doesn't just go to a fluffed out CD and millions of dollars of promotion.
Right.
You know, it goes to
Your pockets.
your pockets and things that the artists believe in, which
Right.
I think could be really cool.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm all for it.
Yes.
And let me see. Let me check my notes here.
This guy.
Let me see if there's anything else.
You're dragging it.
Oh, damn.
You're capping.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I just really got here that is, you know, I think that the value of this is fair compensation, right? Musicians contribute significantly to our culture and economy, but often struggle to make ends meet due to low pay. The Musician Living Wage Act of 2024 would ensure fair compensation for their creative contributions to our culture.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, it's cool because it would support emerging talent. It would address income disparities.
Right.
It would promote, you know, diversity of art, our heritage,
Hey.
you know. So
Some cool shit.
some cool shit, man. So
Yes.
you know, I'm gonna link that little act and all of the information about that in the show notes. And if you want to support some art,
Support it.
it'd be a cool way to do it.
Sign it.
Sign
Be
it,
a part of it.
talk about it,
Be a voice.
repost some of the I don't know, some of the information about it so other people can know it and and also be hip.
Hip hop, a hippity, hip hop, and don't stop.
I think we just went full circle.
Yo, stop. Shoot.
Okay. Well, that's all I got for today.
Well, thank you guys for listening or watching. Thank you for tuning in to our podcast. This is Meet the Others podcast. If you see our face, these guys, then you know it's us. Meet the Others podcast. Peace.
Peace.
Why Meet the Others podcast? What's this about?
Why are we doing this thing?
Why are we doing this dang thing?
Who the F?
Do we
Who the
even
F?
know what we're doing?
Certainly not.
Oh,
We
no.
just hooked this thing up tonight. We figured out how to use the mics, and now we're recording 10 seconds afterwards. Gives me comfort. So
I hear you.
yeah. So anyways, Meet the Others. That's us.
Still waiting on this car to come and take me home. Things feel a little different now, though we grown. Till I turn the ass, sure they put my name in stone. Live how I wanna live, 'cause we die alone.